That their mugs, I ended up getting about a litre of free beer each night. This is the memorial stone to a man named John Syme. He was actually a great man. He took over the brewery after de Grave's son died, and he loved it that much. He was such a sensational man, did so much for the brewery that he wanted to be buried here. Now, of course, you can't just bury people anywhere you want to, so they did bury him down in Hobart Town, and then a couple of years later decided that his gravestone would be best suited up here. So they then brought his gravestone up to the brewery and placed it out the front. I think it's fantastic working at Australia's oldest brewery. It's brilliant. I mean, the whole culture of Hobart is based on Cascade. We grew up on the stuff, so iconic Tasmanian produce, and it's just a fantastic place to work. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Well, that looks like a great place to visit and work. Now to the dramatic story of a seismic event that triggered an underground rockfall at the Beaconsfield gold mine in northern Tasmania. One miner died, but 5 days later, 2 miners were discovered trapped in the rubble. And for over a week, Australia held its breath to see if they could be rescued. At 9:26 p.m. on the 25th of April, a seismic event triggered an underground rockfall at the Beaconsfield gold mine in northern Tasmania. 17 miners were underground at the time, and all but 3 were accounted for.
We are doing whatever we can to get to the 3 men without putting the rescuers at risk. As it has now been more than 15 hours since the collapse, we hold grave fears for our 3 colleagues.
There is nothing worse than just waiting around for news, and particularly news of loved ones who are still down the mine.
The media descended on the little town of Beaconsfield, with hundreds of journalists arriving to cover the event. On the 27th of April, the body of Larry Knight was found in a shaft, and grave concerns were held for the other 2 missing miners. At 5:45 p.m. on the 30th of April, the 5th day after the rockfall, Brant Webb and Todd Russell were located alive using thermal imaging cameras.
Well, if anyone can get through this, I reckon Todd can, so he's a pretty lucky guy.
Brant Webb and Todd Russell have been trapped nearly a kilometre underground in a cage not much bigger than this for a week. It's hot, about 35 degrees. It's damp, and above all, it's cramped.
Brant Webb had been knocked unconscious for a short time after the fall, and Todd Russell's lower body was completely buried. The cage in which the miners were trapped was partially filled with rock, and when Brant Webb came to, they were able to free themselves by cutting through their clothes and boots. The 2 had survived by collecting water in their work helmets, water that was dripping from the ceiling. They also shared a muesli bar, but didn't start eating until the 4th day. For 9 days, Australia collectively held its breath while the rescuers tried to reach the trapped miners by drilling and blasting the rock.
All their dads are miners. We just hope they get out.
On the 1st of May, drilling was put off because of the potential for another collapse. A raise borer was deployed instead. Raise borers are used for creating air and access shafts in underground mines, and they operate vertically. The raise borer used at Beaconsfield actually cut a horizontal tunnel. It's understood this had never been attempted previously. It took the raise borer 3 days to cut an 11-metre tunnel through the quartz rock, which came within 3.5 metres of the trapped miners. The 7th of May marked the final stage of the rescue attempt. The raise borer was dismantled and low-impact charges were used to finish the tunnel. On the 8th of May, the rescuers tunnelled upwards to reach the men, as the horizontal tunnel had been dug lower than the miners.
Bells and sirens rang out to signal the men were close to freedom. The mining town knew the time had come.
Finally, between 4:47 and 4:54 a.m. on Tuesday, 9th of May, Brant Webb and Todd Russell were free. At 5:58 a.m, Brant Webb and Todd Russell walked out of the lift cage, greeting the crowds who'd gathered outside the mine gate.
Come up to meet you, tell you I'm sorry. You don't know how lovely you are.
The boys were playing around pretty well. They were ready to come home, so they had their bags packed for quite a while.
You do get emotional, don't you?
They've done it tough. There's no doubt about that.
It's just amazing to see a community come together in such quick notice.
Tell